Okay, members, the sitting's resumed. Questions to the Minister for the Economy, and I call Philip Brett. Minister.
The development of a support scheme for renewable electricity generation is an action within the Executive's energy strategy. In 2023, my department published a consultation on design considerations for the scheme. In that same year, Aurora Energy Research was contracted to provide technical expertise needed to formulate the high-level design. The high-level design and the government response to the consultation was published in 2024, outlining the wider policy objectives and providing an illustrative auction roadmap for renewable generation to be supported. Further technical modelling and a financial impact assessment has been conducted alongside the consideration of the legislative and state aid pathways and the institutional roles and responsibilities necessary for delivery. The final scheme design will provide a comprehensive update, including eligibility criteria, delivery roles and responsibilities, and an outline of the contract allocation process. As per the Energy Strategy Action Plan 2025, the final scheme design is due to be published in Q2 of this year. I then plan to bring primary legislation before the Assembly this year, with subordinate regulations to follow as we move towards the first auction in Q3 2026. This will contribute to the Climate Change Act target of 80% electricity consumption from renewable sources by 2030.
Mr. Brett.
Minister, can I thank you for that detailed update. However, Minister, when it comes to energy within the Department for the Economy, dither and delay seems to be the order of the day. Tomorrow, the committee will receive an update from your department and Invest Northern Ireland in relation to the pausing of the Capital Grant Energy Scheme as a result of concerns that the scheme is supporting questionable energy efficiency practices. When can the Minister get to grips with the Energy Department?
Minister.
Well, I thank the member for his supplementary, and I disagree with him in relation to his characterisation of our development of policy in the Energy Division. As he will know from his role in committee, there is an awful lot going on at the moment in parallel within that division across a number of policy areas. In respect of the final scheme design, as he will understand, it is highly complex in terms of the development of the design, encompasses multiple interdependent elements and technical considerations, and some of those are still under consideration by officials and myself within the department. And we have, as he will know as well, the Energy Strategy Action Plan for 2025, which sets out all of the actions that will be taken within this calendar year, and we are on track in respect of those, and hopefully he will see the updates as those come forward.
Eva Finnegan.
Concordia. Minister, in order to ensure a just transition to net zero, will the Renewable Electricity Support Scheme deliver community benefits?
Minister.
I thank the member for her supplementary, and I fully support the principle of community benefit and encourage all developers, whether participating in the Renewable Electricity Price Guarantee Scheme when it is launched or pursuing alternative routes to market, to adopt best practice and ensure a return for local communities. There are different approaches to delivering community benefits which have been considered, including a voluntary guidance approach where a voluntary model would apply to broadly all renewable energy projects, including those already in development or operation, rather than being limited to the relatively small number that will secure contracts under the Renewable Electricity Price Guarantee Scheme. However, voluntary contributions by their nature are not guaranteed and offer limited assurance that benefits will be directed to communities located near renewable developments. The other models include a mandatory contribution model where again, by the nature of its title, it's a mandatory requirement that community benefit will be part of the support scheme and would involve significant administrative complexity and also cost, estimated at around 10% of total scheme costs, which would of course add to the additional strain on departmental resources as well. And then a potential model, which is an alternative, is to apply deductions directly on electricity bills through a discount on charges to households near new renewable projects. The discounts would then be socialised across all electricity consumers. That's my preferred option at this point, if it's possible. So officials will further explore the operational requirements of this concept in collaboration with key stakeholders and delivery partners to assess its feasibility and potential impact.
David Honeyford.
Mr. Speaker, at a recent committee meeting, your officials directly answered a question to me saying there was no plan and no strategy for the overall renewable transformation towards renewables moving forward. Can the Minister reassure this House, even at this late stage, that there will be a plan and a strategy brought forward to enable the sequences of grid, of interconnection and this renewable scheme, that we don't risk seeing RHI Mark II?
Minister.
Yes, I can assure the member that there certainly is a plan, and as he will know as well from his role in committee, as I said to Mr Brett, across a range of areas there is currently policy development work going on, which is really important to ensure that we do have a fit-for-purpose energy system. And in relation to the specifics, in relation to the renewable electricity price guarantees scheme, we will see things brought forward in the very near future, but all of the other work that's going alongside it will continue, including, for example, in relation to interconnection and storage policy, for which policy development work and research is currently ongoing as well.
Question 2, please, Mr. Speaker.
Tourism is a vital contributor to my economic vision and key to creating prosperity right across the north, enriching our communities and bringing social benefits to our towns and cities. It also creates opportunities in rural areas and is a source of pride for local people. My department launched a tourism vision and action plan in January that set out our ambition for growth in our tourism sector over the next decade, including a strategic goal that the tourism expenditure from our overnight visitors will exceed £2 billion by 2035. The action plan identifies 17 activities which are critical to achieving this ambition in a way that promotes regional balance, raises productivity, creates good jobs and lowers carbon emissions. In addition to job creation and the generation of substantial export earnings in the form of visitor spend, the outworking of the vision and action plan has the capacity to cultivate and showcase local history, culture and our natural and built heritage. All of this will make the North not only a great place to visit, but also a great place to live.
Mr Beattie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank the Minister for a comprehensive answer. For the economy to fully realise the benefits of tourism, it needs to, and you've already said this, reach into our town centres. And that could mean linking tourism with a renewed and restarted High Street Task Force. Could I ask the Minister, is that something she would consider to aid her tourism strategy along with other departments in the Executive?
Sure.
So, in relation to how tourism can play a part, I certainly think there is a key role for tourism in supporting the regeneration of our towns and villages and cities. And I have recently established the local economic partnerships across all of our council areas for local areas to be able to develop their own economic plans and visions for themselves. And Tourism NI and other partners can be involved in the development of those plans, and that's something I would actively encourage. And the role of the local economic partnerships is to bring forward those plans, but then to leverage support in from all departments to realise those plans. So I think there is a key role for tourism as part of those plans to aid with the regeneration of our towns and cities.
Minister,
could you outline how the positive work of Tourism Ireland contributes to your economy in the north?
Well, Tourism Ireland is an organisation with the responsibility for marketing Ireland overseas, has a compelling holiday and business events programme. Tourism Ireland undertakes a range of activities that have a hugely positive impact on my department's policies on tourism, from the large number of marketing campaigns and events that ensure a seasonal spread of visits to Ireland, to maintaining a continued focus on sustainable development of the sector in collaboration with Tourism NI and Fáilte Ireland. Tourism Ireland is focused on growing the value of overseas tourism, benefiting local economies and communities. A recent study estimates that for every £1 of Tourism Ireland's marketing investment, £25 is spent by overseas visitors. Overseas tourism has doubled in value between 2010 and 2024, growing from £319 million in 2010 to over £633 million per year in visitor spend in 2024. In addition, over 70,000 jobs depend on tourism, and of those, 6 out of 10 depend on overseas tourism specifically, meaning overseas tourism is a key opportunity for our economy. This clearly demonstrates the value that the organisation brings to tourism as a vital revenue-generating industry and for bringing jobs into local communities across Ireland.
Justin McNulty.
Question 3.
Minister.
Anything that, with the potential to undo the harms of Brexit, to smooth trade flows and to reduce regulatory divergence is to be welcomed. On the 19th of May, broad heads of agreement were announced between the British Government and the EU. We have a significant agri-food sector, and so I welcome the commitment to negotiate an SPS agreement. And while that agreement would only extend to Britain, it should result in significantly fewer regulatory checks and controls on animal, plant and related products moving east to west. It is also welcome that the British Government and EU will continue to work on a youth mobility scheme. It will be important to understand how these high-level positions are translated into legal text and then implemented in practice. And at this stage, we have few details, including in relation to timeframes. Clear and timely communications will also be important for individuals and businesses, and these are points that I continue to make to the British Government.
Mr. McNulty.
I thank the Minister for her answer thus far. Minister, does your department accept the assessment that recent trade agreements still leave significant barriers for agri-food exporters in border regions? And what targeted support will be provided by your department to businesses in areas like Newry and Armagh?
Well, I think clearly Brexit damaged trading relationships between this island and Britain and beyond, and a key reason why my party and others oppose Brexit. Unfortunately, we are where we are in respect of having to deal with the consequences. We have the protocol and now Windsor Framework, which recognises our unique circumstances and also provides us with a unique selling point in terms of dual market access that we continue to promote. And as I said in my opening answer, there's clearly a long way to go in terms of negotiations under the SPS agreement and other areas. But from my perspective and the perspective that my party brought to all of the negotiations to date in post-Brexit is anything that smooths the frictions east, west and north, south is a good thing, and I think that more work needs to be done there, and certainly that I'm willing to play my part in that.
Stuart Dixon.
Minister, will you agree with me that dual market access represents a unique and significant opportunity for business across our economy here in Northern Ireland? But can you tell the House specifically today how you're working to develop that trading relationship for small and medium-sized businesses in Northern Ireland?
Minister.
Yeah, and I do agree with the member that dual market access offers us huge potential and opportunities, and I think there is more work to be done in terms of communicating that, both to our own businesses here that are already in the position that they can take advantage of that, but also in terms of attracting investment as well to create new jobs and to grow our local economy. So that's work that my department, along with Invest NI and Intertrade Ireland, continue to do to try to make the most of the potential that we do have.
McGuigan.
And can I thank the Minister, and in her previous responses she has touched on dual market access and the importance of it. Can I ask just what impact the agreement between the EU and the British Government have had on dual market access?
Minister.
Yeah, and as I said previously, and I welcome the progress that has been made, and I also welcome that the British Government and the EU have recognised and committed to maintain our privileged dual market access, and we can see that privileged position in our recent export performance. In the year ending 2024, total exports of goods from the north increased by 1%, while exports in Britain decreased by 5.6%. Our imports also increased by 1.8%, while overall imports to Britain fell by 3.5%. So the agreement does nothing to undermine our unique position, which I have put front and centre of my economic vision. What it will do when implemented is smooth trade frictions around particularly agri-food and horticultural products mainly, and I believe that will further strengthen our unique offer, not diminish it.
Jonathan Buckley.
What the Minister is outlining is trade divergence rather than potential. The Minister has talked about the privileged dual market access. We're now some 6 years on from hearing of this unicorn of dual market access from the Minister and her party. Can she, in the House today, give one concrete example of a business FDI investment in Northern Ireland by means of such dual market access?
Minister.
And I'm sure the member will recognise years of uncertainty that have been caused in post-Brexit negotiations, including in respect of his own party's position on that. And I have outlined the real-world, tangible impact of dual market access that is clearly seen in our export performance. And I think that what we do see is huge interest in dual market access as a particular selling point for our local economy that continues to attract investment and attention from investors, and that's something that I, along with my partners in Invest NI and Intertrade Ireland, continue to promote.
Daniel Crossan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister, question 4.
Minister.
By connecting people, supporting our tourism offering and delivering economic growth, improving air connectivity to the north from within these islands and further afield has an important role to play in the delivery of my economic priorities. That's why I'm investing £3 million per year in the City of Derry Airport. The Dublin to Derry air route has the potential to provide significant benefits to the northwest of Ireland. It will help unlock the tremendous potential of the region and, importantly, help exploit the significant investment my department, the Irish Government and others across the private and public sectors are making here. My officials are also engaging with their colleagues in the Departments of Transport in Dublin and in London, who both have policy responsibility for public service obligation air routes across the relevant jurisdictions. Both I and my predecessor Conor Murphy have engaged with the Irish Government seeking firm commitments to reopen the Dublin-Derry route, and I am pleased to report that ministerial approval in Dublin has been provided to undertake the preparatory work necessary to establish the Dublin-Derry air services in 2026. A meeting led by the Irish Department of Transport is planned with stakeholders in the North West in the coming weeks, and I will continue to work closely with both governments to support delivery of this important initiative.
Mr McCrossan.
I thank the Minister for that answer, and I also thank the Minister for the £3 million investment in the City of Derry Airport. The SDLP have been long calling for that investment. I'm glad it has now happened, to the benefit of her constituents and, of course, to mine. Minister, you have outlined the actions by the Irish Government, and they are to be welcomed. What plans have you in place to ensure that the airport remains sustainable into the future, and will it receive any further investment in terms of expansion from your department?
Minister.
And I thank the member for his question. And as he has outlined, we have committed to the investment over the next 4 years into the City of Derry Airport, which enables the airport to be able to plan for growth in future years. And we will be working along with partners both locally in the northwest and further afield to support the economic development of the region. I think clearly we are already seeing the benefits of the efforts that are being put there bearing fruit, and there has been many positive announcements over recent weeks, and it clearly shows the potential of the region, and that is something that I am certainly keen to support. And I am happy to continue to work with partners to ensure that continues.
Ciara Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Minister for her commitment to the Derry Airport. It's really, really welcome. Can I ask, Minister, what is your assessment of the recently published Pathfinder Irish Aviation Report? Thank you.
And I thank the member for her questions. My officials are currently considering this recently published report by Irelandia, an Irish aviation investment group. The report makes a number of recommendations for various policy initiatives which Irelandia contend will strengthen the Irish aviation industry. In the first instance, I want to consider the applicability of those recommendations to the North, and if they are applicable, how we can work with both the Irish and British governments to drive implementation.
Sinead McLaughlin.
Local economic partnerships are a critical part of my regional balance agenda, and I'm pleased to see the progress made in setting up partnerships across the North. The majority have met on several occasions already, including Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon just yesterday, and have begun the important work of agreeing local economic priorities and developing action plans for the first year. Each partnership will decide on the economic issues that matter most in their area, and my department will pivot itself to address these issues and will encourage other departments to do likewise. There is also a £45 million fund that will allow partnerships to pump prime and co-fund projects that are important to them. My department and InvestNI are working closely with all partnerships to support them bringing forward projects. While my department has provided guidance to the local economic partnerships about the type of projects they might want to consider, that's not prescriptive. Partnerships will know what is needed at a local level, and I'm committed to ensuring this work is taken forward as a genuine partnership with councils and other local stakeholders. This has meant listening to feedback and refining our approach, and I'm confident that we are building the right foundations to ensure maximum impact in the years ahead.
Your answer. Minister, these projects are now almost 2 months behind schedule, and as part of the June monitoring, your department has indicated a reduced requirement of £8.9 million in relation to the Economic Regional Growth Fund. This is the first year of that fund, and already you've indicated an underspend, a significant underspend. This delay in underspend is really symbolic of the Executive's continual failure for the sub-regions, and particularly for the North West. Why has this happened?
Well, I don't agree with the member's characterisation of that. The establishment of the local economic partnerships is a new approach, bringing together my department, InvestNI, councils and other key economic stakeholders in local areas. And while there has been some slippage due to different factors, such as my department working through the business case approval and councils establishing each partnership, a great deal of progress has been made. And with approval now secured for the Regional Balance Fund business case, I look forward to seeing the partnerships bring forward innovative proposals to address economic issues that affect their areas.
Gemma Dolan.
Can the Minister provide more information on the guidance that has been issued to local economic partnerships?
Minister.
Well, fundamentally, they are partnerships between the Department for Economy and a range of stakeholders, and as such, my officials have had back and forth with councils and other partners on issues and about how best those can be resolved. My department has provided formal and informal guidance on a range of issues, including the establishment of the LEP's membership, as well as project guidance including staffing, high-level objectives for the Regional Balance Fund, the use of consultancy, state aid and subsidy control, and working with other departments. In this phase of the partnerships, as they meet and identify projects, I anticipate further queries will be raised, which my officials are likely to respond to with further guidance. An action plan template has also been provided to councils to assist them.
Kelly Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister had talked about local level priorities, but in terms of economic development, Strangford, my constituency, and right across Northern Ireland, how is the Minister ensuring that strategically important and high growth sectors are being supported and developed through the work of the LEPs?
So the local economic partnerships are part of the drive towards regional balance. Alongside that, we have 3 other priorities within the department: the creation of good jobs, improving productivity and decarbonisation. And we have identified 7 priority sectors, which the member has referred to as high growth, high potential sectors, and each of those has an action plan within it. So to address the challenges and support the potential within each of those sectors across a whole range of issues, including things like skills. So there is a key crossover in terms of how LEPs might try to utilise and support the priority sectors. And I suppose it is for each of those LEPs themselves to identify those that are most applicable in their local area, and to some extent it gives the power back to local areas to decide what their economic priorities are, and for them to align and to leverage support to develop those.
Peter McReynolds.
6.
Minister.
I assume the member is referring to the Utility Regulator Support for Decarbonisation Preparation Bill. The draft bill, which was developed in conjunction with the regulator, has been subject to a public consultation, the results of which have been shared with the Economy Committee and published on my department's website, along with all consultation responses received. We have received legal confirmation that the Assembly has the legislative competence to introduce this bill, and my officials are working through the remaining legal issues. The bill has been designed to provide the utility regulator with additional powers to support my department as we move towards our future decarbonised energy system, and I can assure members that the policy development work to deliver the energy strategy continues, and additional powers for the Energy Economic Regulator are included in the various pieces of legislation being brought forward in relation to new policy areas.
Peter McReynolds.
I thank the Minister for that response. And Minister, it's your department's responsibility to ensure that we reach 80% of electricity from renewables by 2030. Can you assure the House that changes to the role or remit of the utility regulator will support that delivery of 80 by 30?
And the intent behind the bringing forward of this bill is to give the utility regulator the powers in respect of decarbonisation as one of the considerations in respect of investment, and therefore it's really important in terms of supporting us to meet our targets that we have in respect of both renewable electricity but also other targets in terms of our climate obligations. And as I referred to in my opening answer, along with this initial piece of legislation, the powers that are necessary across different policy areas will be brought forward as those are being progressed through the Assembly also. So delivering across a whole range of energy policy areas is going to be crucial in terms of supporting us to meet our energy targets in coming years.
Armstrong.
Speaker, question 7, please.
Minister.
My department is developing AI policy to maximise the benefits of the technology for both our people and our businesses. This work will build on existing initiatives such as the Artificial Intelligence Collaboration Centre to ensure our workforce is equipped to utilise AI, that businesses can adopt it safely and that the necessary infrastructure is in place to support implementation. Stakeholder engagement is central to this process. Officials have already engaged with industry and academia and will broaden this outreach in the coming weeks and months. I recently met with Professor Helen McCarthy, the Chief Scientific and Technical Advisor, who is leading efforts on public sector adoption of AI. This includes forming an AI task force consisting of government, academia and industry representatives to advise on opportunities and principles for adoption throughout the public sector. My officials have also met with her office and will continue regular engagement to ensure alignment. Policy development will also be informed by relevant evidence, including the recent AI adoption report from the Ulster University Strategic Policy Unit.
Ms Armstrong.
Thank you, Minister, for that response. It is important that we have cross-sectoral engagement on this matter. Minister, can I ask if you're confident that the AI strategy will be delivered this year?
Briefly, Minister.
Well, as previously stated, officials within my department have commenced work in this area. We recognise the importance and the urgency to seize the opportunity of AI, but it is also equally important that we implement the right policies and actions to ensure that AI is adopted in a way that delivers maximum value in a safe and responsible way while adhering to my economic priorities. So it is a key area of policy development for us that we will be continuing to put a focus on in the time ahead.
And the topical questions, Niamh McLaughlin.
Minister, at a recent committee meeting, officials from your department were unable to explain how the budget allocation would impact on the higher education sector, particularly in relation to student places at each of the institutions. Is it something you could do now?
And I thank the member for her question, and I'm not sure that I have the information in relation to the budget allocations in front of me. I'd be happy to share that with the member in written correspondence. I also understood that we did provide some figures to the committee in relation to student places for the incoming academic year, but I can share that again with the member if necessary.
Ms McLaughlin.
Thank you, Minister, for your answer, and I acknowledge and indeed welcome that you sided with the SDLP in opposing the raising of tuition fees. But that stance alone will not will not solve the underlying issue regarding the financial crisis that is facing our universities. When will you finally publish the overdue higher education funding review? And crucially, what fully costed options will you bring forward this term to deliver a sustainable settlement that spares the students and our institutions from ever again having to bridge gaps created by the department's lack of funding?
Minister.
And I thank the member for her question, or for her supplementary question. The review of higher education, I'm expected to receive terms of reference or draft terms of reference in the very near future, which of course will be shared with the Economy Committee after I have taken decisions in relation to that. I think we do, as we all recognise, face a really constrained budgetary situation, which puts pressure across all of our public services. And from my perspective, it is important that we have a sustainably funded higher education system, but that is done in a fair way that ensures accessibility for students and for people of all ages to be able to access the type of education that delivers them the skills that they need and helps them to reach their potential. So that's the challenge for us in terms of undertaking the review, and of course we have to let the work be done and to take the decisions once that has completed.
Cathal Boyle.
Can the Minister provide an update on our meeting with the Border Region Manufacturing Cluster?
I was really pleased to have the opportunity to meet the representatives of the Border Region Manufacturing Cluster when they visited last week, and I know they met with the representatives of the Economy Committee also. They shared a policy paper with us during that meeting which was entitled Strengthening Regional Resilience for Manufacturing Businesses, the Strategic Role of the Border Region Manufacturing Cluster. That paper outlined their vision for gaining greater recognition for the cluster and establishing formal communication channels with the department. They expressed a strong desire to work closely with my department to support collaboration on key issues that matter to that vital cross-border cluster. And we also discussed some of the challenges that they are facing, particularly around skills, which of course is something that is not unique to that sector, and the need for improved infrastructure, again, not unique to that sector in terms of support and growth. As a next step, it was agreed that my department will follow up with BORMAC to ensure continued engagement and support. And it was explained that given the growing momentum around clusters, my department is actively exploring the potential benefits of adopting a dedicated cluster strategies, and officials have already begun work on this through engagement with stakeholders, industry partners and initial research. But we're clear that any strategy must be developed in close coordination with businesses and must align with and strengthen our wider economic goals.
Mr Boylan.
Margaret, and could I thank the Minister for her answers so far. Minister, can you outline your approach to clusters more generally, including in relation to all Ireland clusters?
Minister.
And I thank the member for his question, and I certainly believe the all-island economy has tremendous unrealised potential, and collaboration and trade are key to the growth of our economy. So I'm pleased to welcome and support the prominent Global TCIE conference later this year, which will promote clusters across the island of Ireland on an international stage. And given the pace of organic growth around clusters, my department is exploring the value and benefit of adopting a cluster strategy. As I mentioned in my opening answer, work has started on this. But business clusters are not a new concept, so there's already a whole breadth of research which has been undertaken in this area, both globally and locally. Officials are using that existing research to help our understanding of how a cluster strategy can support the economic growth here in the north. And we have continued to engage with cluster parties and various stakeholders. We've also liaised with both the British and Irish government officials to understand their approach to clusters, and I want to ensure that our approach is coordinated, that it's evidence-based, that it's aligned with the strengths and ambitions of our economy, and of course that it adds value to clusters and potential clusters here in the north, but also all island clusters. So we would be keen to understand how we can further develop those and support them. And of course that work, as I said, already needs to be underpinned by collaboration with all involved.
Jill McElwain.
Supporting the biomethane industry will pay dividends for our economy in terms of jobs and investment, reduce emissions and support the agricultural sector. Can I ask the Minister for an update on a Northern Ireland biomethane strategy?
Minister.
And I thank the member for her question. The department is currently working on a number of biomethane actions as part of the 2025 Energy Strategy Action Plan, which includes progressing the Action 6, which will support the sustainability of biomethane being utilised in the gas network, and key areas of focus include progressing support mechanisms, consulting on options for gas network connection costs, and investigating standards and certificates. So this is an area of active policy development within the department.
Ms McElwain.
Thank the Minister for her answer. Can I ask the Minister what discussions she had with the Agriculture Minister in the development of the Nutrients Action Programme 2026-29 consultation, given the potential impact on rural jobs and the fact that there are potential solutions being developed as a consequence of work within her own department?
And I thank the member for her question, and I'm not sure that I have had any discussions with the Agriculture Minister in relation to the Nutrient Action Plan. I'm not sure what the previous Minister had before I was in position, and I'm sure that officials across departments have been engaging as they do in a whole range of issues, including in respect of the biomethane policy development, which clearly there is a cross-cutting nature there between agriculture, environment and rural affairs and my own department.
Peter McGrath.
Minister, Spirit Aerospace in my East Belfast constituency plays a crucial role as an employer. What are you and your department doing to secure future and long-term work for them?
And I thank the member for his question. And as recently as this morning, I met with trade union representatives from Spirit, along with the First Minister and Deputy First Minister, and I have given them assurances of my support in ensuring that we protect those jobs. And I have been engaging with everybody that you would expect me to engage with to ensure that that happens, including in the highest levels in the British Government.
Mr McGrath.
Thank you, Minister, and grateful to hear that you met with the unions this morning. Minister, an important part of all this is skills. What update can you give the House today on how your department is helping deliver the skills that Spirit Aerospace need to fulfil their work and grow as a business and a globally recognised brand?
Minister.
And again, I thank the member for his question, and the support for skills and skills, I suppose, in general is a key priority for my department, but particularly in respect of apprenticeships and in key trades, and to support the priority sectors that we've talked about this morning, one of which is advanced manufacturing, which clearly Spirit falls within. I know that Spirit have a really active programme in respect of apprenticeships, which the department works with them on and supports, and I think it is really important that we continue to ensure that we do have pathways for people of all ages to gain the skills that are needed for our economy, and as I said, that's a key area of focus for me and my department.
Brian Kingston.
Mr. Speaker. I refer the Minister to the recent adjournment debate in this Assembly chamber on the poor mobile phone coverage in West Belfast, and also the recent media coverage that there have been at least 13 attacks on mobile phone masts in West Belfast since 2023. Given that this is impacting on local businesses as well as residents, would the Minister take this opportunity to condemn these criminal attacks on phone masts and call for them to end?
Minister.
And I thank the member for his question, and he will of course know that in the adjournment debate I unreservedly condemn those actions. I think there's no place for them. It's damaging infrastructure, it's having an impact on local communities, on businesses, but also on people in terms of their everyday lives. And there was numbers of examples, as the member will recall, that were given that day in respect of people who had faced real challenges as a result of not having that mobile phone coverage. So there's no place for that. It needs to stop.
For that answer. And given that numerous reports, including from the World Health Organization, have found no evidence of adverse health effects from 5G masts, would the Minister go further and call on those who can assist the police to bring those responsible for these attacks to justice, to provide that assistance to the PSNI?
Minister.
Yeah, and I thank the member again for his response, and of course if anybody has any information in relation to those, I would of course urge them to bring it to the attention of the police, and in respect of the point that he has made about 5G and the concerns that some people have had off the back of some of the adjournment debate and some of the media reporting. That's something that my department, along with others, is looking at how we can support the communication of those key messages to assist in dealing with the misinformation that is out there.
Melissa McHugh.
Concorla, Minister, connectivity is a key economic driver for the North West. Can you provide an update on discussions to support flights between Dublin and Derry? Sorry.
Yeah, thank the member for his question, and I certainly am confident that the Dublin-Derry route would help unlock tremendous potential across the region, and importantly help exploit the significant investment that my department has made along with the Irish Government and others across the private and public sector. Officials are engaging with their colleagues in the Departments of Transport in London and Dublin, as I mentioned to Mr McCrossan earlier. Both of them have responsibility for public service obligation air routes across the relevant jurisdictions, and I have been supportive of the restoration of this route for many years, and both myself and Conor Murphy had engaged in relation to seeking firm commitments to reopen the Dublin-Derry route. So I'm pleased that preparatory work is now being undertaken to re-establish that route in 2026, and my department will be supporting the work of the Irish Department of Transport and stakeholders to ensure a successful outcome to this important initiative.
Mr McHugh.
Minister, could you provide an update on the McGee expansion, which is also a catalyst for greater prosperity in the North West?
Yeah, of course. The Ulster University's McGee campus, I think, represents a significant strategic investment and has potential to deliver substantial economic benefits for the North West and, of course, for the whole region. Since the task force launched its final report and action plan in December, work is progressing at pace towards the expansion of McGee to achieve the 10,000 student target in line with New Decade New Approach and PFG commitments. My department, in partnership with Ulster University, has now secured all the private sector lands for teaching accommodation to reach that 10,000 target, and have contributed almost £21.5 million of capital expenditure to support this planned growth. The recent acquisition of Timber Quay has been successfully completed, and that will allow Ulster University to accommodate 375 new students from September. There have also been a number of members of the task force working with officials to progress a range of activities to inform the programme business case, which is due to complete in September, and these activities include a dedicated marketing campaign to attract students to McGee, proposals to maximise the economic impact of the expansion for businesses, and widening access and participation initiatives. Work is also underway on addressing the student accommodation requirements to support the expansion.
Down for South.
Speaker. Minister, I was reviewing the recently published business plan and year-end progress report for your department for 24-25, and I see that the Department for Economy's business plan has a commitment number 33 to work with Conrad na Gaeilge, NDPBs and independent bodies to develop an Irish language policy and promote the use of Irish language across the department and its partner organisations. Minister, I don't see a corresponding or side-by-side commitment to Ulster Scots, and I would ask the Minister why that was.
Well, of course, my department has an Irish language policy, a dual language policy, and that is reflective of the action that is in the business plan, and is something that is being, I suppose, rolled out across our ALBs as well in respect of the need to support the Irish language, particularly in the further education sector.
Thank you. That brings to a conclusion question time. I noted yesterday with the Minister that we got through all of the questions, and actually 27 backbenchers asked questions, and today we had 16. So sometimes ministers think that the 2 minutes is a target. I think they should be actually aspiring to have more backbenchers, having the opportunity to ask questions be the target. Before we move to the next item of business, I want to advise members that the ministerial statement on the winter fuel payment will be taken after we have disposed of the UEP's motion on improving sentencing practices in Northern Ireland. And if members would take the reins to the Deputy Chair moves in to take the next debate. Thank you.